It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, you can see in the Sharp Interactive board, it's none other than Bryan Fadorsen. And Bryan Fadorsen is with a company called Consensus. Folks, Consensus has an eFax solution, and I know my friends in the Immunity channel need to hear about this because we have an FCC ruling coming up. And Bryan, it's fantastic to have you back on, man. How's it going?
Hey, glad to be here, Ray. How have you been with all your travels? You've been a jet setter last few
It's
weeks.
been kind of fun to get back out there in the real world, I'll be honest with you. I started a little new series called On the Road with Ray, so when I'm on the road,
I saw
you'll see
that.
some videos. But Bryan, hey, we got this FCC ruling coming up. I believe there's like 50 days left. So I want you to just really quick address that because our friends in the document image channel need to understand this FCC ruling and how they can benefit when it's implemented.
Yeah, absolutely, Ray. So we talked about it a little bit on our previous show that we had, but we have exactly 50 days until August 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
So the real countdown is here, right? The timing is perfect. We've had a lot of interest from dealers. Again, just to reiterate, the FCC mandate is saying that all these copper POTS lines, the analog lines, all those lines are going away August 2nd. And I'm getting phone calls almost every single day on a daily basis from sales reps at partners, potential partners calling me and saying, hey, my customer received this letter from this big provider, whoever it may be, right? There's a variation of them. And those letters are going out now to the end user saying, hey, August 2nd comes, you need to find a different solution. Some of the big guys might have some very low-scale fax solutions that they can offer. But that's the perfect opportunity for our partners to pick up the phone and call us. And we're seeing a lot of that. Like I said, every single day I'm getting a phone call from a rep saying, my customer's getting this letter. I'm like, great, let's set up a demo and talk to them about eFax and how it can solve that problem.
Well, Bryan, here's the reality. There's nothing better than a mandate to spark interest from an end user to drive a difference. So here's a question for you. So, I was just recently at an OEM event, and you listen to the OEMs, we got a real problem with supply chain. We got a real problem with chips. And to be quite honest with you, Bryan, maybe you could correct me. I know you worked for an OEM at one point in time, but do we really believe that chips to make fax modules for MFPs is something that everybody's all excited about as far as the chip maker goes? Or do we believe that this is a great opportunity to take advantage of moving this information through the cloud in a different way without relying on a fax module inside an MFP? So just tell the dealers out there how they can engage with you and stop worrying about these damn chips not having fax modules.
Well, I would say fax chips, fax board chips are probably lowest on the totem pole.
That's what I'm thinking.
Not, it's down on the list, right? It's not up there with like an iPhone or a refrigerator even for that point, right? And I can tell you from my experience, when I was at the OEM level, just as last year, right? Mm-hmm. One of the first things we did was cut out the fax boards from equipment. Mm-hmm. And, that specific manufacturer did have an internet fax solution, which is still TDM based, which is still going away coming up here August 2nd. But yes, it's a perfect opportunity to move that to the cloud. And as part of digital transformation, people are used to now, thanks to Microsoft and other people like that, to moving their infrastructure to the cloud. And Ray, as you can imagine, I deal with a lot of the OEMs, I deal with a lot of the resellers on a daily basis. And they're still having issues with supply chain and procuring equipment and getting it in the door. And I talk to sales reps on a daily basis that sold machine 9 or 12 months ago that haven't installed yet. And the comp plan for those folks, right? They're not getting commission checks until it's installed. So it's still an issue there. I think there's going to be an interesting Q3 and Q4 of this year from all the manufacturers. We've had a lot of events line up to make an impact there, whether it was the shutdowns in China or manufacturing plants catching on fire or just the delays at the ports. It's been an issue, and we've talked through the years. I love the hardware space. I love the OEM space. That was one of the driving factors that I came here to Consensus. It's we don't have to worry about manufacturing. Mm-hmm. We don't have to worry about supply chain. We can help our dealers out today. We don't have to set unrealistic expectations for 2 or 3 months out to fulfill.
Well, I would hope, Bryan, that anybody that's waiting on equipment because of a fax module, they went ahead and delivered it and called you to begin with, or even one of your competitors for that spot. I mean, there's no chips in software.
There's not. There's no chips. Nothing needs to be manufactured.
Which is
we own the infrastructure. We own the patents. We hit a button. We turn it on. Sometimes we have to deal with porting. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes that's a process, but if that's the hardest process in procuring a solution that brings monthly recurring revenue to your business, so be it. It's better than following up with distribution, following up with the trucking companies, multiple times a week, multiple times a day to update your customers where that equipment's going to be.
Well, here's a question for you. So I know that consensus is big in healthcare. You guys have a lot of hospitals around the country. So here's a question: if I'm a print provider, so I'm ABC Printing Company, I'm in a marketplace, I have a hospital as an account, and let's say that hospital has a bunch of MFPs with fax modules on it. I'm probably already had to make some adjustments because of the not being supported the POTS lines.
Right.
But theoretically, if you're also in that hospital and you have this software solutions around fax technologies, aren't you getting paid for every single document that goes through the system, whether it's going through the cloud or whether it's going through ABC Print Company's MFP on the floor?
Exactly, Ray. I mean, we're collecting our per page rate, no matter if it's going to the MFP. Obviously, then the MFP folks, the resellers, the OEMs, they're also getting their per click charge. We're getting ours, but we don't necessarily need the MFP, right? We can route it in a variation of ways, whether it's through email, through our secure portal that we have, and then also through any type of network folders. And we could do a variation with all of them with a solution called eFax Router, which you could have the document print out at MFP and be sent to an email and receive via the portal. So we can do things in a lot of different ways, but certainly we're collecting a charge every time it's going through the MFP or through the cloud to an email or to
it just seems hysterical to me that you could actually have an account where you're collecting, thousands and thousands of dollars, but you're not having to deliver a toner. You're not having to work on anything with a wrench. And so if our friends were to come, here's a question for you. I don't know if you can answer it here or not. I'll ask it. But if our friends came to you and said, hey, we have this hospital, we have a bunch of MFPs, we got some fax solutions on these MFPs, and we want to work with you guys. If you were already in there, could you work out a relationship with them, or would you just tell them, hey, we're already in here, goodbye?
We could work out a relationship.
Okay.
That's something we're very open to. Again, we were spun off from J2 Global just last October.
Okay.
So again, we're about that 400 million marker, but we are a very nimble, agile company that can make those quick decisions on the fly. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's always open for discussion. It's an interesting question, but I would say the answer is yes, and we'll figure it out.
Well, we need to start thinking about that, folks. What are you getting? 0.008? And these guys might be getting a penny or 2 cents. I mean, it's just nuts to me to think that you would not want to understand this business more.
It is.
Especially with the POTS thing going on. So let me ask you a question. So the FCC could have a mandate. That means they're not going to support them, or these providers aren't going to support the POTS lines, but are they still going to exist? Or do they have to just dissolve them all?
I think some providers will dissolve them all because of the cost.
Sure.
And the infrastructure, that TDM infrastructure, it's very expensive. And some providers, and some of the letters I saw, Ray, said, yes, August 2nd, we're ending this. Some providers will keep them, but there's going to be a much additional cost than what they're used to paying for that single line. Now, I think we see single lines now anywhere from, and it depends all over the country, right? But from $60 a month to $100 a month, I see that pushing up to more of the $300-$400 a month.
Just to get them out of
because just to get them out of there. Now these providers have to deal with this old infrastructure that they want nothing to do with, and they don't have to do it. It's not a mandate. So
let me ask you this: I'm an MFP salesman out there, right? Company, mm-hmm. And I have, let's say I do my inventory and I realize that I have 1,000 devices that have fax modules on them, and then I can check and see which ones are active in that. But let's just say I'm producing 1,000 machines have fax modules out there, and I came to you and said I got 1,000 MFPs with fax modules on there, and I want to convert all these. Is there a program that you could help them with, or how does this work? They're going to sign up to become a reseller? They're going to sign up to become a partner of yours? Just real quick, give us an overview how that looks.
Yeah, so again, we talked about it lightly last time, but we have two avenues, right? You can be a referral partner where we do the billing, we do the heavy lifting, post-sales, pre-sales, onboarding, training. We do it all, it's on our pay for it. And then I like to say it's a graduate program where people move from a referral partner to a reseller, right? And where these partners do get wholesale rates, they can have their pack and markup as they need to. It's going to be on their paperwork so they can have more control of the customer. We still help from a post-sales, pre-sales, implementation, training standpoint. You still have the assisted sales process, whether you're a referral partner or reseller partner that we discussed last time. Mm-hmm. My team is still behind me to help either one of those options. But certainly, if they had 1,000 machines, we'd be very excited by that. And what I would say to them, and I know they love to get the prints out at the MFP, and I got to be respectful of that. But at the end of the day, they wouldn't need those 1,000 fax boards, right? And we know what the cost of those fax boards are, between $4,000 and $1,000 a board, right? So there's a quick ROI once you start removing the POTS line, moving to cloud. Once you start moving the fax board, once you start moving that page per copy, it's a very justifiable ROI to the end user, mainly every time.
Is it safe to say that me as a print provider would get as much money on that document as I was when it was printing, right? I mean,
it's not even close in profitability, right? It's much more profitable.
So basically, I'm going to swap these. I mean, all I got to do is look at my base. We have the software that'll tell us how many faxes we're actually doing. It wouldn't take that much time to do this. But if I was a dealer and I realized that I was, shoving 1 million pages through fax modules, and then I could isolate that equipment by vertical, and maybe I started healthcare first, but I only got 50 days. But boy, if I knew what the potential was, I'd probably get a little bit more excited about
it. They would. And I have these conversations every day, right? From a practical standpoint, a hospital might be doing 500,000 faxes a month, one hospital, right? Imagine a hospital group that has maybe 200 or 300 hospitals in that group. The revenue potential is just crazy. I had a partner discuss with me a potential opportunity the other day for 800 hospital locations. That's basically call it 500,000 sheets a month. You do the math, right? And we are publicly traded. So what we did one month isn't good enough the next, right? So we're always going to be aggressive with our partners and do whatever it comes from a financial standpoint that makes sense, from a business standpoint, to be as aggressive as we need to win the business for our partners. And getting into the healthcare, I know we talked about this a little bit last time, but we've made huge investments in chief healthcare information officers and SMEs and former CIOs and CTOs from healthcare organizations that have that talk with the end client and our partners to facilitate those high level conversations and really understand the workflow of the fax. Because as we discussed last time, some faxing applications or workflows get quite complicated, and that's where we've came in to help with. We've also made recent investments in Summit Healthcare. It was a very large investment, 20-something million dollars to build out our professional services arm when it comes to workflow in the healthcare space. So we can definitely help our partners. I wasn't sure if I wanted to bring it up yet or not, Ray, but for your platform, right, the folks who sell and service office equipment, even the OEMs that are signed up to be on your platform, we do have an exclusive offer for them for the rest of the year.
Sweet.
So if they do reach out to talk to us, please have them mention that, and I'll confirm that with you. But we do have a really good initiative and incentive for those folks who want to come on in the next few months. And I want to thank you, Ray. From the last show, we've had several of your sponsors actually join as either referral or reseller partners.
Awesome. Well, here's a question for you. If I do a deal at a hospital, I'm just going to go back to this hospital. Let's say I got a bunch of MFPs in there and I want to kind of refresh the lease, but I can't get the equipment. Could I go in there and go ahead and put your fax option in the deal, refinance the whole damn thing, and then give the customer like a 3-year agreement? Are you going to raise your prices? Can I lock the prices in for 3 years or 4 years?
Yeah, we could do that. And that would be a great win-win for any of our partners, right? Because they're refreshing the equipment they've already had in there.
No, I'm just saying this is the great opportunity when you can't get the equipment, but you want to get money.
When you can't get the equipment, absolutely.
Release them the stuff they already have. I mean,
right.
we can do that, right? Yeah, there we go. We release them the stuff they already have. We throw the software on there. Our leasing partner friends are financing software platforms. So interesting stuff. So Bryan, I'm going to tag you in this, and obviously that you'll have your contact information as part of this video. But I'm hoping with 50 days left that our friends are paying attention to the reality is that this is a way to make some extra money when we don't have, especially those that don't have fax modules. So you got, supply chain issues, plus you have an FCC mandate coming together to crash for a great opportunity for our friends. Is there anything you want to add before we end this?
No, it's like you said, right? It's perfect timing between all these things that's adding up at once. And I've been in the space since 2005. And if you had told me 2 or 3 years ago, I'd be selling cloud fax, right? And we have other solutions on top of that, and we'll get into those down the line. We're already looking at HL7 and Fire and how fax is going to be done in the future. But if you had told me 3 years ago I'd be doing this for a living and signing up partners to sell cloud fax, I would probably laughed at you. But after I look at the numbers and the volumes and the market trends and what's happening in digital transformation, this is a great place to be. And we've added some great channel teammates at the beginning of this year, and we are actually adding headcount and hiring. So this is a little bit of an ad for us.
Oh, there you go.
If you know any good channel sales professionals, please have them reach out to myself, and I'd be more than happy to entertain a conversation as we're growing headcount and things are moving in the right direction.
Well, Bryan, it's always great talking to you, because everybody watching me knows this: status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo. We'll see y'all later.